If you want to transform poor, lifeless soil into a thriving garden, subscribe to Botanical Bliss now. This channel explores centuries-old soil practices and experiments with natural amendments, and today's episode uncovers a striking difference between two commonly used materials: wood ash and compost. I applied both to degraded soil in a controlled experiment, and the results revealed that one of these seemingly simple amendments is far more powerful than the other, completely reshaping how I approach soil restoration. Why bad soil struggles even with traditional compost? Most gardeners assume that compost alone can rescue poor soil, but this is not always the case. Soil depleted by repeated planting, erosion, or acidic conditions often lacks the minerals necessary for healthy plant growth. Compost provides organic matter and introduces beneficial microbes, but if mineral deficiencies are severe, plants remain stunted and nutrient cycling is slow. In my test, compost improved texture and microbial activity, but the results were modest in terms of plant vigor. This demonstrates that compost addresses biological fertility but cannot always correct chemical imbalances or structural deficiencies in severely damaged soil. How wood ash interacts differently with soil chemistry. Wood ash, a product of burned hardwoods, contains concentrated minerals, including calcium, potassium, magnesium, and trace elements essential for plant growth. Unlike compost, wood ash primarily alters soil chemistry rather than adding organic matter. It raises pH in acidic soils, improves cation exchange capacity, and replenishes minerals that were previously depleted. In my experiment, soil treated with wood ash experienced rapid improvement in structure and nutrient availability. Plants established faster and developed deeper root systems, highlighting that the chemical effect of wood ash can sometimes outweigh the biological effect of compost in degraded soils. For centuries, farmers have relied on wood ash long before the advent of synthetic fertilizers. Across Europe, Scandinavia and parts of Asia, it was common practice to apply wood ash to fields every year, mainly to maintain soil fertility and to counteract the acidification caused by rainfall. This approach was especially valuable in areas with thin soils or where crops were rotated heavily. Historical records, show that soils treated with ash recovered more quickly and produced more reliable yields than those relying solely on organic residues. Reflecting on this history really shaped my own experiment, reminding me that, honestly, soil amendments need to address both the biological and chemical aspects of soil health. To properly test the effects of wood ash and compost, I divided a patch of severely degraded soil into 3 separate sections. One section received only compost, another was treated with just wood ash, and the last one got a combination of both. After watering each section, I let them stabilize for a bit before planting identical crops. Over the next several weeks, I observed some clear differences. The compost-only section showed modest growth and a gradual improvement in soil texture. The wood ash section, on the other hand, displayed rapid greening, increased microbial activity, and a noticeable improvement in soil structure. But it was the combination section that really stood out. The soil improved both biologically and chemically, leading to the strongest plant growth of all. So, why is the combination of wood ash and compost so effective? Well, wood ash corrects chemical deficiencies in the soil, while compost provides the organic matter and microbial life needed for long-term health. Used together, they really complement each other. The ash supplies immediate minerals and helps adjust pH, while the compost supports biological processes that drive nutrient cycling, soil aggregation, and moisture retention. In practical terms, this means poor soil can recover more quickly and sustainably when both elements are applied thoughtfully, rather than depending on just one amendment. So, let's talk about how to apply wood ash and compost in modern gardening. Application really must be careful and measured, you know. Wood ash is alkaline, so using too much can actually raise the pH a bit too high, especially if your soil is already neutral or even a little on the alkaline side. In my own test, I applied about 200 grams of wood ash per square metre, just lightly worked into the topsoil, and then followed it up with a generous layer of mature compost. For container gardens, honestly, just a small teaspoon of ash mixed into a standard potting mix with compost is more than enough. It's best to repeat applications seasonally rather than weekly, so the soil can respond gradually and you avoid any nutrient imbalances. Now let's consider the visual and structural changes in the soil. Within a few weeks of applying wood ash, the soil looked darker, looser and, well, much more friable. Moisture penetration improved quite a bit, and water no longer pooled in those compacted patches. Roots were able to penetrate deeper and spread more uniformly. These changes were actually noticeable even before planting, which just goes to show that wood ash does more than supply nutrients. It physically stabilizes the soil and indirectly encourages beneficial microbial activity. So, what's the lesson here for gardeners and survivalists? The key takeaway is that soil fertility is really multidimensional. Biological activity, as supported by compost, isn't quite enough if minerals are depleted or the pH is out of balance. Historical practices like applying wood ash provide a chemical boost that can dramatically speed up recovery in poor soil. For gardeners, permaculturists or even survivalists, integrating both strategies creates resilient, fertile soil that can sustain crops with hardly any need for synthetic inputs. If this experiment has changed the way you think about soil restoration, do subscribe to Botanical Bliss and share this video with anyone who's struggling with poor soil. Understanding the distinct roles of amendments like wood ash and compost allows gardeners to create thriving, sustainable systems, just as farmers have done for centuries.